And the same thing, journalists should not be punished for what they do anywhere in the world.
That is absolutely true, Said.
But we have seen yesterday is a premeditated crime to kill a journalist for doing their job. They were right there in the front of Ismail Haniya's home just to show the destroyed home from our colleague from Al Jazeera, Ismail Ghoul, and his cameraman Rami. And they were told by the Israelis to leave the scene. They did. They got in their car and they moved, and then they were bombed. I mean, that is summary execution, isn't it?
Said, I spoke to this a little bit yesterday, and the good news that we have relating to these American citizens who have returned, who will be returning to the United States. I don't have an update on this other situation for you beyond that. Let me just say, because you've asked the question, the reports that you mentioned yesterday as well, we've seen those reports. We're tracking the details. We continue to engage with our partners in Israel about any additional information. But beyond that, when we have talked about journalists who have been killed in Gaza, this is something that the Secretary has spoken to a great deal. We have time and time again offered not just our condolences to Palestinian journalists killed in Gaza, but we have attempted to make clear just how vital the work of journalism has been to showcase the ongoing dire conditions in the Gaza Strip, and how key certain outlets and certain media organizations, including Al Jazeera, have been to that line of effort. And that's something we will continue to not just say publicly, but we will raise privately with partners in the region. We'll continue to stress with our partners in Israel as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, there are also dozens of Palestinian journalists who are currently detained by Israel. Overwhelmingly, they're not charged with anything. They're held under administrative detention and so on. Do you call on the Israeli government to either charge those journalists that are being held under administrative detention or let go?
Look, Said, we've been clear and consistent that Israel needs to treat all detainees humanely, with dignity, and in accordance with international law, and the detainees' human rights must be respected. Beyond that, I'm just not, I don't have specifics as it relates to these specific cases to speak to.
But certainly you urge the Israelis to release those who are not charged with anything if they don't charge them.
I'm not going to speak to specific cases in the judicial system that I'm not tracking, but what I want to say again is that we've been clear and consistent that Israel must treat all detainees humanely.
Okay, a couple more quick ones. Was there any communications with the Palestinian Authority from U.S. officials to the Palestinian officials in the aftermath of the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh?
I'm not aware of any specific conversations to read out. I'm happy to check if there's anything said, but I'm not aware of.
Okay, and lastly, I want to just bring to your attention that an Israeli lawmaker was asked about the alleged rape of the Palestinian detainee, and he basically said yes, it is legitimate. And as we look at the story, it is really appalling. I mean, it seems, pardon me for the graphic description that I'm about to describe, but they took a cell phone and they shoved it up his gluteus maximus all the way to the intestine, and they were calling the phone. The Israeli soldiers. This is documented. So, how don't you find this appalling?
We are aware of these concerning reports, and of course, if they are true, they are appalling. The IDF itself has indicated that it is looking into these allegations, and we, of course, welcome that. It is essential that the rule of law and due process prevail, and in democracies, no one is above the law. And so we are going to let the process play out here. But of course, these reports are incredibly concerning. But there is an investigation taking place, and therefore I don't want to offer any judgment until that process has concluded.
Okay, and lastly, on the negotiations, any update on the negotiations? Are they ongoing? Are they likely to resume? Are they frozen?
As
What
I
is your
said,
assessment?
as recently as yesterday, Said,
Right,
we
yeah.
continue to believe that a deal is not just urgent but also achievable. We're going to continue to remain focused on working around the clock to narrow some of the gaps. Getting this deal done to bring the hostages home to end the violence in Gaza is incredibly important. And for those of you that heard the secretary at his press conference in Mongolia overnight, he echoed the very same thing.